Listen to me, chosen woman. You've been through things you don't even talk about. Moments that should have broken you. Seasons that tried to erase you. Battles that no one saw, but you felt every single second of them. And yet, you're still here. Not by accident, not by luck, but because something about you refuses to be destroyed. There were forces, seen and unseen, that thought you would give up. That thought you would settle. That thought you would disappear into the background, like so many others, but they misjudged you. They didn't realize you are not ordinary. The first thing that tried to waste your life was self-doubt. That quiet, persistent voice in your head, the one that whispered when no one else was around, the one that told you you're not enough, not smart enough to succeed, not strong enough to endure, not worthy enough to receive the life you dream about. It didn't shout, it whispered. And that's what made it dangerous, because over time, you started listening. It followed you everywhere. Into rooms where you were meant to shine, into relationships where you were meant to be valued, into opportunities that were designed to elevate you, and instead of stepping forward fully, you hesitated, you held back. You questioned yourself in moments where you should have trusted yourself. You compared your beginning to someone else's middle, and convinced yourself you were behind. You silenced your ideas before anyone else could hear them. You doubted your instincts even when they were right, and slowly self-doubt began to shape your decisions, your actions, and even your identity. For a moment, it felt like it was winning, but look at you now. You didn't disappear. You didn't give up completely. Something in you refused to die. Even when you questioned yourself, you kept going. Even when you felt unworthy, you still desired more. Even when fear sat heavy in your chest, you still moved, even if it was slowly. And that matters, because self-doubt may have delayed you, but it did not destroy you. You are still here, still standing, still searching, still becoming. And that means something deeper is at work within you, something stronger than fear, something louder than doubt. And now, you're starting to recognize that voice for what it really is. Not truth, but resistance. And the moment you stop believing it is the moment your life begins to change. The second thing that tried to waste your life was toxic relationships. Not always obvious at first, not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes they came disguised as love, as friendship, as connection. But underneath it all, they drained you. These were the people who didn't pour into you the way you poured into them. The ones who misunderstood your heart, misread your intentions, and took your kindness for weakness. You showed up fully. You gave your time, your energy, your support, again and again. And in return, you were left empty. You tried to fix things that were never yours to fix. You carried emotional burdens that didn't belong to you. You stayed longer than you should have, hoping things would change, hoping they would see your value, hoping your love would be enough to transform the situation. But it wasn't your job to heal people who were committed to misunderstanding you. And slowly, those relationships began to take a toll. Not just on your energy, but on your identity. You started questioning yourself. You started shrinking. You started losing parts of who you were just to maintain connections that were never meant to last. But here's the truth. Even in your emptiness, you didn't lose your essence. Something inside you stayed intact. Something refused to completely break. And through the pain you learned, you grew. You became more aware. You began to recognize patterns you once ignored. You started to see people for who they truly are, not who you hoped they would be. And now, you see differently. You understand that not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone is meant to walk with you. And protecting your energy is not selfish. It's necessary. Those relationships didn't destroy you. They refined you. The third thing that tried to waste your life was the fear of starting over, because starting over feels like failure. It feels like everything you built, everything you invested, everything you believed in has been erased. And that feeling is heavy. It's exhausting. It makes you question everything. And yet, life kept bringing you back to that point. New environments, new beginnings, new mindsets, new versions of yourself that you didn't fully recognize yet. Each time it felt like you were being pushed back instead of forward, like you were losing progress instead of gaining it. And you got tired of rebuilding, tired of adjusting, tired of having to find your footing again and again. It felt unfair. It felt like others were moving forward while you kept being sent back to the beginning. But what if it was never the beginning? What if every restart was actually a refinement, a correction, a redirection? Because sometimes the path you're on is not the path meant for you. And instead of allowing you to keep going in the wrong direction, life pulls you back. Not to punish you, but to reposition you. Every time you started over, you weren't the same person. You had more awareness, more strength, more wisdom. You saw things you didn't see before. You made decisions differently. You carried lessons that changed how you moved. That's not failure. That's evolution. Starting over didn't waste your life. It aligned it. And now, you're no longer afraid of new beginnings, because you understand that every ending carries direction. The fourth thing that tried to waste your life was delay, the waiting, the uncertainty, the feeling of being stuck while everything around you seemed to be moving, doors that refused to open no matter how hard you knocked, prayers that felt like they were disappearing into silence, timing that never seemed to match your expectations. You watched others move ahead, build, achieve, celebrate milestones you had been praying for. And you couldn't help but wonder, what about me? Did I do something wrong? Why does it feel like I'm being left behind? Delay has a way of making you question your worth. It makes you feel invisible, forgotten. It tests your patience in ways you never expected, and at times, it almost convinces you to give up. But what you didn't see in those moments was what was happening behind the scenes. You were being prepared, strengthened in ways that weren't visible yet, positioned for something that required a version of you that didn't fully exist yet. Because if certain doors had opened too early, you wouldn't have been ready to sustain what came with them. Delay is not denial. It is development. It is protection. It is alignment. And while it felt like nothing was happening, everything was happening. Internally, spiritually, mentally, you were becoming someone capable of handling what you once only hoped for. Now when things begin to move, they won't just come. They will stay. Because you are ready. The fifth thing that tried to waste your life was comparison. It didn't come loudly. It came quietly. Through scrolling, through conversations, through moments when you looked at other women and started asking questions that slowly chipped away at your confidence. Why not me? Why is her life easier? Why does it seem like I'm always the one struggling? At first it felt harmless, just curiosity, but over time it became something deeper. It began to distort how you saw yourself. You stopped measuring your progress based on your own journey and started measuring it against someone else's highlight reel. And that's where the damage began. Because comparison doesn't just make you feel behind. It makes you forget who you are. It shrinks your confidence. It blinds you to your own growth. It makes your unique path feel insignificant simply because it doesn't look like someone else's. You started overlooking your wins, dismissing your progress, minimizing your strength, all because it didn't match what you saw in others. But what you didn't realize is this: you were never meant to have their journey. Your path was designed specifically for you. Your timing is different. Your process is different. Your calling is different. And comparing it to someone else's only disconnects you from your own alignment, because what looks easy for them may not be right for you. And what feels slow for you may actually be building something deeper, something stronger, something more sustainable. The moment you stop comparing is the moment you start seeing clearly again. You begin to recognize your own growth, your own strength, your own direction. And that's when you realize you were never behind. You were just on a different path. The sixth thing that tried to waste your life was burnout. Not just physical exhaustion, but emotional, mental, and spiritual fatigue. The kind of tiredness that sleep can't fix. The kind that builds slowly over time until you barely recognize yourself anymore. You carried so much. Responsibilities that weren't even yours. Expectations you felt obligated to meet. Emotional weight from people who leaned on you but never supported you in return. You became the strong one, the dependable one, the one everyone turned to, but no one stopped to ask, who is holding you? And so you kept going, even when you were tired beyond words, even when your body was telling you to rest, even when your spirit felt drained. You pushed through, you showed up, you carried on, because that's who you are. But burnout has a way of disconnecting you from yourself. It makes you feel numb, unmotivated, lost. It takes away your clarity and replaces it with confusion. And at times, it makes you feel like you're failing, when in reality, you're just overwhelmed. But here's what's powerful about you. You didn't collapse, you bent. You struggled, you questioned. But you didn't break completely. There's a strength in you that refuses to quit even when everything feels heavy. A quiet resilience that keeps you moving, even when you don't fully understand how. And now, you're beginning to realize something important. You don't have to carry everything. You don't have to prove your strength by exhausting yourself. Rest is not weakness. Letting go is not failure. And choosing yourself is not selfish. It's necessary. The seventh thing that tried to waste your life was rejection. The closed doors, the unanswered messages, the opportunities that slipped through your fingers just when you thought they were within reach. The moments where you felt overlooked, ignored, or simply not chosen. And it hurt, not just on the surface, but deeply. Because every rejection has a way of making you question yourself, your worth, your value, your direction. It makes you wonder if maybe you're not as capable as you thought, if maybe you're not enough. And after a while, it becomes tempting to stop trying altogether, to avoid putting yourself out there, to protect yourself from feeling that kind of disappointment again. But what you didn't see in those moments was the protection behind the rejection. Because not every opportunity is meant for you. Not every space deserves your presence. Not every door that stays closed is a loss. Some are redirections, some are shields, some are saving you from paths that would have drained you, limited you, or broken you in ways you weren't meant to experience. Rejection doesn't always mean no. Sometimes it means not this. Sometimes it means there's something better. And sometimes it simply means you don't belong here. And that's not a loss. That's alignment. Because every door that didn't open made space for the ones that will. The eighth thing that tried to waste your life was your past, the mistakes, the regrets, the moments you wish you could erase, the decisions that didn't turn out the way you hoped, the versions of yourself that you've outgrown but still feel tied to. Your past has a way of following you, whispering reminders of who you used to be, trying to convince you that you haven't changed, that you're still that same person, that you're not allowed to move forward because of what you've done or what you've been through. And for a while, you believed it. You carried guilt that weighed you down. You replayed memories that kept you stuck. You questioned whether you truly deserved a fresh start. But here's the truth. Your past is a chapter, not your identity. It shaped you, but it does not define you. Every mistake taught you something. Every regret gave you awareness. Every experience, even the painful ones, added to your growth. And the fact that you can look back and see things differently now is proof that you've evolved. You didn't stay there. You didn't remain the same. You kept walking. You kept learning. You kept rising. And that matters, because growth is not about perfection. It's about progression. And the person you are becoming is not limited by who you used to be. You are allowed to move forward. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to become someone new. And the ninth thing, the most dangerous one of all, was losing yourself, not all at once, but slowly, piece by piece. You started becoming what others expected, saying what they wanted to hear, acting in ways that kept the peace, avoided conflict, and gained approval. You silenced your voice. You hid your truth. You dimmed your light just to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. And over time, you started to forget who you really were, what you truly wanted, what you genuinely believed, because you were too focused on being accepted. But something inside you refused to disappear completely. Even in the moments where you felt lost, there was a quiet pull, a feeling that something wasn't right, a voice that kept whispering, "This isn't you," a discomfort that wouldn't let you fully settle into a life that didn't align with your truth. That was your soul calling you back, back to yourself, back to your authenticity, back to your power. Because losing yourself is the most dangerous thing. Not because it happens suddenly, but because it happens subtly. And if left unchecked, it can keep you living a life that feels safe, but empty. But you didn't let that happen. You're here, awake, aware, questioning, searching, and that means you're already finding your way back. Here's what you need to understand. You didn't just get through these things, you outgrew them, because a chosen woman is not defined by what tried to destroy her, but by what failed to. You are still here for a reason. There is purpose in your survival. There is power in your story. There is something in you that the world hasn't even fully seen yet. So stop questioning your journey. Stop minimizing your strength. Stop thinking you've been forgotten. Everything you went through was shaping you, refining you, preparing you, and now you're not the same woman who once struggled to hold it together. You are becoming the woman who commands her life. So stand up in your truth, walk in your power, and remember this: if all of that couldn't destroy you, then nothing that's coming next will either.